Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Oh, jeez, stumbled over. Welcome to the Power Platform Today show. Today, I've got a fantastic guest. I've got for your wonderful pleasure, Parvez Ghumra. I will bring him on now, and he can introduce himself. Parvez, you are live. Please say hello to everyone out there.
Hey Reese, hi everyone listening. My name is Parvez Ghumra. I am a Dynamics Power Platform lead developer, technical architect. I've been working with Power Platform before it became Power Platform. So since the days of Dynamics CRM version 4, I started off working as a pure out-and-out developer type position, doing the kind of nitty-gritty techie delivery side before I went into more technical consultancy where it was, there was lot more client engagement, and kind of senior lead development and architecture type stuff. And to the point now where for the last 12 years, I've been operating as an independent here in the UK. And my specialty has become more in ALM and DevOps for Power Platform. And I've built kind of enterprise grade ALM processes for a number of customers. But yeah, as I say, born and bred in Leicester. I've always lived in Leicester all my life. But yeah, I operate independently now and I have been for a number of years. And it's got to the stage now where I'm looking to potentially scale up and, take it to another level.
Nice.
Rather than being just a one-man band. So those are my aspirations. Very early days, but yeah, we'll see where that
Very
goes.
nice. So it's the CRM4 days. So you're talking what, 2011? Well, 2011 was when it switched, obviously, to 2011. So were you just before
Yeah,
that time? Because I got into it
yeah,
tail end of 2012 was actually when I really got into CRM. But I did work on 4 because it was at the migration sort of time where there were a few projects around that.
yeah. It's been the best part of 15 years. So it was late 2010 when I got into it. So CRM4 was really kind of towards the end phase, and 2011 was kind of on the horizon. But prior to that, I came from a bespoke .NET development
Okay,
background,
cool.
and I kind of landed in Dynamics CRM development by accident,
I think
actually.
everyone does. I
Um,
swear everyone does.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the role was sold to me as a .NET developer position, which is what I wanted to do, but it turned out to be CRM development. But I mean, I don't have any regrets in that regards. It was a bit of a learning curve initially, but I've really enjoyed it. I've really taken a liking to the product and the platform, the way it's evolved. I've stayed with every version of the product since then and explored pretty much all of the different customization and extension capabilities, which is obviously a lot more powerful now than it was back in
Yeah.
those days. I've really seen the evolution of the platform and really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think our experience is probably quite similar in many ways. Then in that regard, because I started with the CRM as an end user. So I was at an end user, and I actually started as business intelligence. So I was working on the data side. So for me, it was getting the data out of the sales system. And so the sales system, the CRM,
Yeah,
was a separate thing. I just used that to get the data, but my job was SQL. And as much as I did enjoy that, I love the data. I do enjoy playing with data and analyzing data and doing all of that that kind of work. I fell very much into the supporting the CRM side, and then started to realize this is quite fun because I've always been around computers. I mean, as far back as I can remember, I've been around computers, but I've never been a software
yeah,
developer. For me, it's been tinkering. I've always been a
right.
scripter. I've always enjoyed that kind of side of things, and
Hmm.
so doing sort of JavaScript form customizations, even doing the C# plugins, I
Yeah,
found that relatively straightforward because I didn't have to do the full architecture. Like, I
yeah,
can't do a website from scratch in .NET. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
just, that's beyond where I am. But you give
yeah,
me a nice framework, plugin execution context. I understand all of that.
yeah,
I understand how
yeah,
to use it. And so
yeah,
I fit nicely within the framework. So
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
I think that's a lot of developers in the Power Platform probably have got in that way in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely agree. And I definitely resonate with the idea of doing the more back-end development rather than front end.
Yeah.
So I say I was in ASP.NET development, but I didn't really touch the kind of UI type stuff. It was mostly the back end kind of making the integration with the back-end database. And then funnily enough, when I landed in my first Dynamics CRM4 project, it was an ASP.NET custom web portal integrated with Dynamics CRM. So it wasn't really the kind of internal application I was building. It was more of the kind of integration with the website. So it was more of a natural transition for me to get into that and learn how, ultimately the whole data models that and how the workflow orchestration engine worked in those days. And then eventually I got into the whole plugin development side and client side scripting and all that kind of stuff, and got used to the kind of ways of working. But yeah, I really enjoyed the whole the lowered barrier to entry in terms of getting being able to build stuff relatively quickly without having to think about standing up the database and its schema and how it's going to integrate with the application
Yeah.
and
The
all that kind
plumbing.
of stuff. You kind of just got that for free, right? And and that kind of stayed with the platform even to present day, to the point that
Yeah.
when it first became Power Platform and Dataverse and model-driven apps, I was like, maybe I should start learning about this thing because there's a lot of buzz about it. And then I spent some time learning it, and then I thought, well, what's different? Because this is what I've just been doing for ages, right? It's
Yeah.
nothing new. But
XRM.
then it kind of
Yeah.
yeah, exactly right. And then it kind of suddenly dawned on me, okay, the new things on the block are Canvas apps and Power Automate, which are
Yeah.
not things that we've had previously, and they've become additional tools in a platform. And then it's kind of taken off from there really, and more recently with Copilot, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. I th- I want to get into that in a moment, but I want to go back a moment because when you were saying that when you first got into the Dynamics world, so you were moving from .NET into the CRM. Was that your first entry into the world of community? Because I imagine at that point you were trying to learn stuff. So you would have been looking at, I assume, a lot of blog posts, maybe even going to the forums.
Yep.
Yeah. So was that your entry
Yeah.
then?
Yeah. Exactly right. So, I mean, the biggest thing for me was when I was in bespoke.NET development, things like professional software development principles, like source control and automated builds and deployments and automated unit tests and all that kind of stuff was
Yeah.
commonplace, right? Everyone did it in that space. But then when I landed in Dynamics CRM for development, it was just unheard
Copy
of,
and
right?
paste.
Nobody did source control. Yeah, exactly right. It was no source control. People, copying pasting large XML files from
Yeah.
between environments. So that was a big shock to my system, and that was the main driver for me to kind of, start to do a bit more research around, this can't be right because we are developing enterprise software. There's got to be some. And then through my research, I found that essentially there was limitations with the platform which didn't allow it at the time. But then when CRM 2011 came out, the solution framework came with it, and they started to become, a possibility with the Microsoft tooling that came with it, the solution packager, etc. So I started to hear ramblings in the community that this was, a real thing, that it was possible with the tooling that was becoming available. So yeah, I started to do my research. In those days, it was Googling around, and I found, people in the community talking about the solution packager, how you can export the solution out, using scripts and unpack them and commit them to a repository, and get the whole automated builds and deployments going. So yeah, I found people in the community talking about it through their blogs, through forums, and I didn't really get the opportunity to kind of invest in learning it and implementing it properly myself. I kind of resorted to waiting for the opportunity to happen to me, till I got the opportunity to learn all of that. But yeah, in those days, I found my kind of feet through blogs and content of people who were actively and passionately sharing the knowledge in the community. In those days, you could count on probably one hand how many MVPs there were, right? And these days, it's a lot more common. So,
He says with his plaque
yeah,
behind him.
yeah, Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I was just I was a very passive consumer of other people's content,
Yeah.
and I was almost exclusively dependent on learning through that route. Unfortunately, I was never sent on any formal training courses or anything like that. So I would learn through people's blog posts and articles and YouTube videos and that kind of stuff. But I never kind of found the courage initially to go and talk to those people, right? I was still very much an introvert in the tech space. I still am to some extent. But yeah, eventually I started to hear about these user groups, and I started to take an interest in what those things were about. The first time it happened for me was I was working in London for a customer at the time. This was just after, or maybe a year after I became independent, and I was just rolling off that first customer. And it happened to be on a day that there was a social before the main user group event in London. So I thought I'd go along, quite selfish around, maybe this could lead to an opportunity where I could find my next gig. Excuse me. So yeah, basically I thought I'll show up and see who there is and meet people, because I was planning to take some time off as well. So it was very strategic on my part to try and line up the opportunity before I actually need it.
Yeah.
So I turned up and I met Andrew Bibby for the first time there,
Bibster.
and really, yeah, really nice guy, and very welcoming and very supportive, especially as a newcomer to the community, right?
Yeah.
It was quite daunting for me to, even as an introvert, just to kind of reach out to people and say hello and stuff. And then Andrew said, so and so is coming and all of these people are coming. I said, okay, cool, it should be good to meet. His phone rang after a while, and he answered the phone, and then he got off and he said to me, "Guess who's coming?" I said, "Who?" He said, "Scott Giroux's coming." I was like, "Wow!" Scott Giroux had just become MVP for the first time. He'd built obviously the Ribbon Workbench, and he received a lot of love from the community at that point. And I was just like, I was totally starstruck. I'm going to get the opportunity to meet Scott Giroux. And then, yeah, he arrived, and the nicest guy in the world, so friendly, so humble, so welcoming. And it was just a pleasure to meet him and chat to him and stuff like this. And yeah, we had a really good chat. And then I left that evening. And then within a few weeks, it took me by surprise. Scott was actually messaging me, offering me the opportunity to work with him. So that was kind of an eye opener, really. Just by being in the right place at the right time, I had the opportunity to potentially work with somebody like Scott. And if anybody knows Scott, it's the most wonderful experience to be working with somebody like Scott. I mean, the learning is just on another level, and he if you think you know what you're doing, he really puts you in your place, basically. In the nicest possible way, right? Throwing light on what else you need to learn and where you go next. So after that experience, I thought, this community is just something else, right? Because it can create opportunities not just for learning, but work opportunities. And since then, I've gone on to becoming more and more active. I've tried to start blogging a few times, and that was kind of start and stop, mostly for my own lack of perseverance with the whole thing, and not being able to find the right cadence and frequency and the content style, etc. So I've started and stopped a few of that time. But other things that I've been doing are I started attending user groups more actively. So my local one was the Birmingham user group. So for a few years, I started attending that regularly. And then more recently, the opportunity arose to kind of join the organizing committee. So I co-organized that one with a couple of the guys there. Even that one started in a very funny way, actually. I was working for a customer in Birmingham at the time, and the guy who started it, Imtiaz, was saying he messaged me. This was before it became part of the kind of national initiative, right? When it was a standalone thing, he messaged me saying, I'm starting this thing. Would you please come along? I was like, sure, why not? I'll check it out. I've had a good experience with user groups in the past, and I happened to be working at Capgemini in a large team at the time in Birmingham, and I told the whole Capgemini team, let's go and check this
Nice.
thing out. And we took the whole team of 15 people there, and the guy was just blown away with the amount of the numbers we got in there. He wasn't expecting very many, and yeah, that night was really successful, and we got a really good turnout. And I just kept going with the kind of being involved with that, and I'm a co-organizer, as I say now. So we basically run it every other month.
Yeah.
On I think it's the third Thursday of the month, generally every other month. We have 2 speakers every night for speaking for about 45 minutes to an hour each, and an opportunity to kind of mingle and network and enjoy some pizza in between. So it's a good kind of a nice intricate kind of way to get into the community. And yeah, we've had some good fun finding speakers. We have a nice venue there. It's a nice central location to Birmingham as well, so that's really good.
So just on
But yeah,
that
in
one
terms of
then,
other activity,
in terms of the
yeah,
venue then, because I've spoken to a few different people that have run user groups so far. The venue is often the one that people complain or have problems with. Have you managed to
yeah,
secure a venue
yeah.
that you are regularly able to keep going back to?
Yeah. So we run it at one of the customers of Microsoft
Right.
who have been a long-term kind of Dynamics Power Platform customer for their own use, right? And the people who used to run that Birmingham user group, they've worked with that customer as well.
Right.
So that relationship has been there for a number of years, and for
Nice.
that reason, essentially, it's quite easy to get the venue.
Yeah.
What we struggle with generally is speakers, and that's largely down to not very many people being wanting to kind of be on stage really, and it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment, and not many people kind of enjoy the whole limelight thing. So we don't restrict ourselves to Birmingham for that reason. We often have speakers from coming from elsewhere. I know you had Duncan on the show a couple of weeks
Hmm.
ago. Duncan came over at the last event. He was talking about Power BI, and
Nice.
yeah, we've had lots of different people from different parts of the country. So it's really good. It's a good, because if you're looking to kind of get onto the stage at bigger conferences, I'd say user groups are a good way
Yeah.
to start. It's a small, friendlier environment to kind of practice your sessions on and get some good feedback on.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely 100% second that. I think that, and again, I've talked to people about this. I think Bibi was quite interesting when I was talking to him about it. His view was he went to a few different user groups and slowly got the confidence to then be a speaker. Whereas for me, it was actually the other
Yeah,
way around. I found that it was easier for me to go straight into speaking than it was to go to
yeah,
just be attendee, because as soon as I did the
yeah,
speaking, then people knew me, and so it was much easier the next time to actually talk to people because people
yeah,
already knew me from a previous session. So for me,
yeah,
that was more of a straightforward way to do it. So everyone is different in how they approach
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then you've also got the
Absolutely.
sort of the virtual ones, like
Yeah,
the Power Platform High Five guys that have started more
yeah,
recently.
yeah.
That's another good way into it in some ways. It's different. Speaking to a screen is different to speaking to an audience.
100%, 100%. Yeah. No,
Do you have a
I've
preference? Because you've done a whole bunch of these ones now.
yeah. So I've had a different, as you say, a different kind of experiences. So I am not that much of a public speaker myself. I've not done that many. So essentially, what I've done is I've been fortunate to have been made connections with lots of different people in the community, people who have been very generous in giving me a platform and giving me an opportunity to find my voice, right? So the likes of Sarah Jones, as an example, with her virtual roundtables, she was running for a long while actually. She gave me my first kind of opportunity to present virtually,
Mhm.
and that was on. I took it as an opportunity to talk about ALM at a very high level in terms of principles and what you should strive towards when implementing ALM in the Power Platform.
Mhm.
That was really cool. And then in terms of in person, I was I have been very reluctant to do it for a long time. I've got I wouldn't say voluntold, but I got gently encouraged to
Nudged.
to do it by, I gently nudged by a few friends in the community, and again, they offered me a platform to just confidently speak about what I know and what I
Mhm.
love. It's I still have the stage fright. It doesn't come to me very
Yeah.
naturally. But what I did find when I first spoke at the All Day London user group at the end of last year was that if you stick to a topic that you know and you love, and then it feels just much more
Yeah.
natural that way. That's something I learned. So I stuck to what is my bread and butter, which is ALM and DevOps, and essentially solution framework, and then it became easy. The hour I had on stage just flew by, and I received a lot of good feedback on that. So in answer to your question, I think virtual is definitely a lot easier. But I think there's something about in person, that whole personal connection side allows your personality to come through, and I think people really appreciate the authenticity that brings.
Mhm.
So I would say, I would say use virtuals as a way to kind of practice your stuff, and then get in front of people in person,
Yeah.
and that will really help, I think, because it gives you a platform, it boosts your profile, it gives you a little bit of recognition if you like that as well.
Yeah. That's. Yeah. I personally, when it comes to presenting, I know it's not for everyone. I know that a lot of people struggle with the idea of doing it, or feel they don't have the confidence, or they don't have the topic, or they feel, why me? Why would I talk about that? But I think that everyone has their own personal experience, and as a result, you can always put something out there, and it's worth doing it because there is that element of networking for a start, which is just great. It's just good to speak to other like-minded individuals, to meet other people in the world of what we do, to share ideas. That's the starting sort of point in many ways. But the other part is, if you're in this world, if this is your job, speaking helps you do your job, because the more effective you can be as a presenter, and the more you do it, the better you get at communicating. And every single job, every single role requires communication. I mean, it's the bare minimum, I would argue, for pretty much any role, anything, anywhere. So it's a fundamentally important thing to do, and even just having that confidence to actually be able to stand up and put your point forward, and the buzz that you get afterwards is always good. The butterflies before, nerve wracking, but the buzz afterwards, amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's the nature of the work we do, right? We are consultants essentially. You need to be able to talk to stakeholders at different
Hmm.
levels within different roles, and even though you may be doing a technical role, you need to be able to converse with people who are not technical and who are more business focused. So you're absolutely right. Having those presentation skills, the communication skills is, even if it doesn't help you become a more prolific public speaker, it's going to help you in your day job, in what you want to do. So yeah, I think there are lots of benefits in doing it. And for me, it helped me because of the introvert, and I'm a lot more confident now talking to people. Um, in the past, in my younger days, I would prefer to stay in my shell and not really open up to people. My parents would sometimes worry about my personal development, whether I'm going to be able to go out there and confidently talk to people. And now it's like it's a totally different thing now. Touch wood, I'm able to kind of confidently talk to people, and new people who have not met before, just get to know them and figure out what they're doing and
Yeah.
try and help them if I can.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me, really. That's what I'm passionate about.
That. Yeah, I think that's the right way to go about it, because I think that a community and a community is driven by the people within the community. Obviously, that community is a group of people, and the only way that that works is if everyone is trying to give back to the community in some way, shape, or form. It's fine to take from the community, like that's how everyone starts. Blogs, consuming, going to present to user groups, but ultimately, communities stay together by people helping in some way. That doesn't have to be just presenting. Like you can get involved in running user groups and volunteering to help user groups. I mean, there's not a single user group organizer that I can think of that would say no to having another person on hand on the night to say, point people in the right direction, get the pizzas through the door. There's always some role that you
Yeah,
can fill, and
yeah,
that's one of the great things about
yeah.
community, and it's kind of drawing people in. On that point of presenters and speakers, do you guys at the Birmingham user group, is there any sort of approach you are trying to take to get more speakers from the people that are attending? Do you do anything to try and bring people into the presenting sphere, or how do you approach that issue of getting presenters?
Yeah, it's quite tough actually. No, normally, what I've tried to do is, ask the audience what type of topics that they want to hear about, right? What are their day-to-day jobs on the
Mhm.
projects, and generally it comes down to suggestions from them, and then me trying to work out, okay, who are the recognized experts in those areas that people are highlighting, right? And I try and find those people, and I'll reach out to them, offering the opportunity to speak, or share some insights. Sometimes they're very open to it, and other times they aren't, so it's harder to find them. But that's my main kind of way to find the speakers at the moment. Other times it's basically turning up at conferences and other events and talking to people about what I'm doing, and the fact that I'm a co-organizer, so I can get them on stage if they have to, or if they want to, and just keeping that communication open with them, and then gently nudging them in the same way that I've been nudged in the past, right? So that's my general approach to it. We don't have a large kind of call for speakers or anything, because it's quite a small kind of intricate thing. But that's been my general approach. But yeah, community is a big part of, as I say, a big part of where I am today. And if it wasn't for the community, I wouldn't be where I am today. So my main driver is wanting to basically pay it forward. I've
Mhm.
taken so much from the community, and it's only fair that I pay it back, right? So other than the user group, I do things like discussing issues in the Discord servers, and we get into sometimes very technical discussions, to
Yes.
detailed implementation designs, etc. And likewise, on LinkedIn posts, I like to engage in people's LinkedIn posts, even though it's not my content, but just sharing my own insights in on somebody else's post in a constructive, kind of friendly way, right?
Mhm.
Not kind of undermining their efforts to share knowledge as well. But yeah, I think that's kind of forms uh, the biggest part of what I do in the community, I think.
Yeah, and on that sort of the Discord, so the different channels of community. So when I talk about community, really what I'm talking about is it's really just the willingness of people within the Power Platform to spread and share their knowledge in whatever form that takes. Now, the most recognizable way that I think a lot of people will see are going to be user groups, conferences. They're the ones that are out there regularly. There's quite a number of them now, and that's probably the most visible form of community. People might not even think of LinkedIn as community, but it is in
Hmm.
many ways. You're seeing the same people, you're commenting, you are discussing.
Yeah,
So I definitely see LinkedIn as an element of community. We'll come back to that one in a moment. There's also the forums. Now, I know that some people I've spoken to have a lot of their giving back has been actually to answer questions in the forum. I've struggled with that personally. I just find it tricky to do that, but it
yeah,
is certainly a form of community to help out there. But the Discord channel certainly is where I know you as well, because I'm part of that same Discord server. So for anyone out there that isn't aware, there's a few different Discord sort of groups. So Discord being Microsoft tech, I think people started using it not that long ago for this. I know that historically Discord has been very much a games thing, but
hmm,
it's definitely started moving into this community space, to the point that every Discord server that you join has a very different personality. I've been a member
yeah,
of a few different ones, and they are all very different. So the one that I'm thinking of that we are co members of is the
yeah.
power it's the Power Platform Level Up
Level up
community.
again. Yep, yep.
I should stick a link in, to be honest, to invite people along. Every now and again, that it's shared on LinkedIn. It is very technical, and I love it for that because it is very
Mhm.
much developers have found their way there, and so you
Yeah.
get these very in-depth conversations and discussions,
Mhm.
sometimes arguments around the best way to do stuff at a very
Yeah.
technical level. And the thing that I
Yeah.
love about that particular Discord server is the fact that there are Microsoft people in there, and there are a
Yeah.
number of MVPs
Yeah.
that actually know what they're talking about that are
Yeah.
in there as well. So it's a
Yeah.
fantastic community. Uh,
Yeah.
it really,
Yeah.
really is.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned the Microsoft people. They've provided some incredible insights
Yeah.
into different tooling on the platform, etc. as well. So to drop a few names, Matt Barber, he's a member of it as well, and he's if you've used some of the tooling, you'll be familiar with the configuration migration tool, the solution packager, the package deployer. Those things have been around for a very long time, and they're not that well known about, and perhaps some of the documentation on those is quite lacking as well. So, I mean, the only way to really find out information about how those tools are working are through other people's content, or talking to the people at Microsoft who built these things, right?
Yeah.
And that Discord level up server is a great way to get information in that regards. One thing I really like about that level up group is so nicely organized. There's different channels and different kind of threads that you can follow
Yeah.
depending on your areas of interest, whether that be front end development, back end development, deployments, ALM, integrations to other Microsoft products, etc. So it's really, really cool, and I think I'd encourage all the listeners to kind of go in there. It runs in a similar way to how the forums run,
Hmm.
but more recently, I find the level up to be a bit easier to use compared to the forums after the forums moved to the Neo platform. But yeah, I was quite really active in the forums as well last year. Just helping out with people's questions. I find more value in doing something like that compared to, for example, proactively creating my own content,
Mm.
because you're helping real people with real questions
Yeah.
on real projects, right? So just that token of appreciation you get from them at the end, it makes it totally worthwhile, because you're answering a real question,
Yeah.
rather than kind of just putting something out there which may or may not be helpful to people. So for that reason, I really enjoy things like Discord, the forums, people's LinkedIn posts, engaging with that. And there's similar things happening in WhatsApp. There's WhatsApp groups for this kind of stuff as well. Although that's sometimes a bit harder to follow,
Yeah.
because it's a continuous
Oh,
stream of a conversation, and it
yes.
can get very noisy in there as well.
Yeah. I have to say that WhatsApp is a phenomenal platform for communication. I use it not just for the work side of things, but from a social perspective, it's my go-to for anything to connect with someone
Yeah,
else. It's almost always if I meet someone for the first time, or if there's anything that needs to be organized for school or
yeah,
anything else, is there a WhatsApp group? Let me add you to that. And
yeah,
and everyone
yeah,
just, it's a pervasive communication technology.
yeah,
But I have
yeah,
found
yeah,
that their attempt to create the community stuff, it doesn't work. It's because it's not computer first. It doesn't work for what we do, I think, arguably,
yeah,
because that's in the technical space. I need the ability to be able to copy and paste code and be able to read it.
yeah,
You can't do that easily
yeah,
on a
yeah.
phone.
No,
So it's
no,
not great for that. And it's also very easy to get lost in the conversation,
yeah,
especially in some social chats where you might you go to sleep at 10 o'clock UK or whatever it is, and then you wake up in the morning with 600 messages. It's like, what the hell happened? uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I find,
No, yeah, that's why. Yeah, no, that's why I say it tends to be a bit noisy,
yeah,
and people like us techie people, we like to keep things nicely organized, right? And you don't quite get that in the WhatsApp
yeah.
experience.
No, it's definitely the first WhatsApp I joined for the Power Platform side was actually the first Scottish Summit that I spoke at, and that's the same group I'm still in. So that was quite a nice thing
Yeah,
because that was when you go into that speaker world, you kind of have a shared bond with the people at that conference, and so
yeah,
that has continued on, and that's the WhatsApp groups I'm
mhm,
still part of. That we're all in
yeah,
there, and that's quite nice. But yeah, Discord, I love that Discord server for many reasons. One thing that I find with Discord that's interesting, that is very different to the other side, it's not always obvious who is who.
No.
So, I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
thankfully, you actually have your name there. Not everyone
Yeah.
does. A lot of people don't. And again, because
Correct.
Discord is this more gamer thing, you
Yeah.
don't need
Yeah.
to put your name on it. You just have a tag,
No.
whatever
That's right.
your tag is, and so you're kind of
Yeah.
reading these names. And you're like, who are these people? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually matter if the content is good, but at the same time, I also want to
Yeah.
know because I know the next time I go to a conference, I very likely will run into someone that I've been conversing
Yeah.
with on Discord, and I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100% agree. It does kind of protect people's identity and that kind of stuff. Maybe I don't know, rightly or wrongly, but it does do that. And I mentioned Matt Barber. He's one of those who uses a an alias for his profile, so not everyone knows
Yeah.
who he is. But yeah, he's shared some great insights. I met him in Vegas as well last year. Really really cool guy.
Really good guy. Really good guy. Yeah, so Discord, that's the sort of one side. Then you got forums. I've also seen that Reddit. There's a little community of Power Platform people in Reddit. I just recently saw actually on LinkedIn someone had shared a solution architect challenge. They're on day 3 or something of it. So
Right.
that's quite interesting that there's other areas other than LinkedIn. So anyone out there that's watching this and interested, go and search your platform of choice. There will be something there.
Yeah.
Cool. I wanted to go back a bit because you talked about so you've talked about Scott Duro and that kind of at the time that you were looking into blogs again. I suspect, and I'm projecting my own experience, but confirm it or not. But he was one of the first people I read blog posts on. I
Yeah.
still remember when I read some of the stuff that he put out. I still use the Fiddler stuff that I remember reading on his blog post.
Yeah.
Like that was when I read that, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's someone to follow. And so the first time I met him in person at a conference, I was so fanboying. It was so hard
Yeah.
not to.
Yeah.
So was he like one of your first in that regard, or was there
Yeah.
someone else that you were following at the time as well that was a surprise when you met them?
No, no, Scott Jewell was one of the main ones, obviously, and obviously at the time he was UK based as
Yeah.
well, right? So that was like our claim to fame. We've got Scott, right? But then he decided to abandon us.
Defected to
But yeah,
Canada.
yeah, that's right, yeah. But yeah, I've followed quite a few of the MVPs for a very long time. As I say, in those days there wasn't many, but almost all of them did have their own blog or some
Yeah.
other way of really, sharing love and contribution to the community. For Scott, that was his blog and obviously the Ribbon Workbench and all the other good stuff he did around that. Others, big names, Jukka, in Finland, he had an amazing blog. There was also Mark Smith from New Zealand,
Yep.
NZ365 guy, and Mitch. Do you remember Mitch Milam?
Yes. I know the
Yeah,
name, but I didn't follow actively. For me, one of the big ones was the Power Platform, the tip of the day. Like I remember reading that every
yeah,
day. That
yeah,
was
yeah. Yeah. George Dubinsky.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even know
yeah,
he was
yeah,
behind it until I actually did a training course
yeah,
with him. So he delivered training
yeah,
for me on Power Pages before it was Power Pages. It was
yeah,
the first training course that came out after they bought ADX Studio, and that became a
yeah,
thing. And so I was at
yeah.
one of his, and he was talking. He's a great guy. Like he really is.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I met him as well a few times in the last year or so. Then there was also Neil Benson.
Yes.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to name drop a few.
Did you ever do any of the certifications? Because if you did, you would have surely Neil Park. Is it? It was Neil Parker. I always forget his full name. It is Neil Parker, isn't he?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah. Neil
connected to the
Parker's. Yeah,
Birmingham UG at one point, wasn't he?
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he was still part of it when I initially joined,
Right.
but he's taken a bit of backseat for health reasons now. But yeah, come back to your question. I've never actually attempted any of the certifications purely out of my own laziness. But I mean, if you're in the earlier stage of your career, then I definitely recommend certification as a great way to kind of get up to date and keep up to date as well after that. And it's not very good on my part that I'm not certified. I probably should do, but it's just one of the things I haven't got right. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say they're a replacement for real life experience. You always need a bit of a balance, right? Because experience will teach you things that certifications won't, and vice versa. So they definitely both go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's interesting that one on the certificate. It's a potentially unpopular opinion in some ways, but it is borne out in the fact that you haven't focused on them, that you've been contracting for so long, because I think the certificates are pushed by the partners because Microsoft requires them for the relationship, for the actual program. And I think that's why so many people do end up doing them. I agree with you that they can be useful if done the right way. I think some people just use them as a tick box exercise to get done and move on. But if you actually use them as a means to try and explore the platform in a way that is kind of guided, it is a good way to do it. But I would argue that most people don't do that. If you are going to do it for learning, you have to do it a different way. You have to actually take the time and effort to try and understand what it's testing on, and connect it with the actual work. Because exactly as you say, you learn stuff by doing that you can't do by just follow and learn. You just can't.
Agreed. And I think one of the main benefits of doing the certification is the fact that you find out about the newer features that are coming through in the platform as Microsoft develop them, and you don't always get exposure to them if you're exclusively dependent on your experience to teach those things. So, I've worked with some people who won't touch Power Automate as an example, because they enjoy classic workflows so much, and that's been their bread and butter for so long. And they want to do it in that space because they feel comfortable in that, and they miss out on all the goodness of Power Automate for that reason, which is unfortunate. But talking of certifications, it's amazing to see how deeply challenging these certifications are actually. One of my colleagues was saying to she stopped by to kind of thank me for all the stuff I share around ALM and the solution frameworks, because she'd passed the PL 200. And I wasn't aware the PL 200 had so much content around ALM and the solution framework. I thought that was a more pro dev thing, so you'd only come into the PL 400. But yeah, that took me by surprise a bit.
The PL 200 definitely covers solutions, layering, why you might want to use managed versus unmanaged. The PL 400 I found tricky at the time when I did it. I need to redo all my certificates. I haven't done any of them for a long time. But the PL 400 surprised me, because I going into that, I was a good few years into my career thinking, this is fine, day in, day out, this is what I do. And it was asking such specific questions on the actual namespace of things within the plugin architecture. And I'm just like, why would I know that? IntelliSense tells me. I don't need to know that.
Yeah, exactly right. Some of these questions would trip you up in a multi-choice scenario, but with Visual Studio, you'll type one letter and you have the answer straight away. You don't even think about it. So
and that's where the difficulty I find with certificates as a useful thing versus not. It's in that the fact that it's an exam, so they have to ask you a question that has an answer. But quite often I find that when they started doing the scenario-based stuff, while it was good to actually have a scenario, and it was testing more interesting logic and how you approach the solving of it, I thought that was good. But at the same time, it opened up so many gray areas where they'd say, you need to do this. And then you're just like, well, I need more information. I can't give you an answer until I know more about what you're thinking, because that is a strange thing to add. So I've always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with them.
And I think this is where some of the new applied skills credentials are a slightly better way of testing people's practical skills, because they give you a live kind of environment to actually execute the steps or perform a certain set of customizations. So I think that can be more beneficial in kind of proving your knowledge in certain aspects.
Yeah.
Probably not the whole thing, but yeah, it's a fine balance between the theoretical as well as the practical, right?
It is. It is. And on that note, Parvez, we have reached pretty much the end. I do like
Oh
to have
well,
my rapid fire questions at the end. That has flown
yeah,
by. That's been a good, quick 45 minutes. Uh,
yeah.
so I'm going to run through a few questions, rapid fire, and yeah, we'll end it on that. So, favorite Power Platform service?
I think it's got to be Dataverse. Being a dynamic CRM guy and ALM guy, which is enabled by the Soul Solution Framework, which is part of Dataverse, it has to be Dataverse, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. Favorite conference?
Oh, that's a tough one.
You've been going to quite a few more recently, so it's
Yeah. I think I have to say the most recent one I went to last week was the BizApp Summit in Germany.
Mhm.
And purely because it's not just BizApps, there's an AI and Cloud Summit and European Collaboration Summit. It's
Okay.
like three conferences in one. So you've got the opportunity to, learn about cloud infrastructure, about AI, about collaboration tools, SharePoint, Viva, all of these things. So you've got, you can really broaden your horizons and touch on different associated technologies and not just BizApp. So for that reason, I'd say that one.
Cool. Excellent. Last music you can remember listening to?
I'm not a music person at all, so I probably don't even know the name of the song.
You can sing
I
it.
think it was probably it's been ringing in my head since that conference because they played it at the closing keynote. I think it was freed from desire or something. I don't know.
Free from desire.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
one. I like that one.
yeah.
Um, it's funny actually. That was on I think one of the very first albums I ever got because it was like Now 98, I think it was. I'm sure that was on that album. Anyway, podcasts or TV?
Oh, podcast definitely. I learned so much more from podcasts. I'm not really a TV person at all.
Cool. And if you had 2 hours with no other responsibility, what would you do?
Um,
So no work, no learning, nothing
I'm
that you.
I'm such a workaholic. I think it would be I'd probably learn a new skill or something. I don't know. Probably something like that. I hate to sit idle and not do anything. I'm always looking for things to do, productive things to do in my time.
Mhm.
So whether that's spending time with family and loved ones, or learning something, or doing some additional work, doing some reading or something. But yeah, I'd definitely try and learn a new skill, I think.
Cool. Books or audiobooks?
Oh, books definitely. I really struggle with multitasking, so I can't listen to someone or something at the same time as reading. I have to be able to kind of do it one at a time,
Yeah.
and I find I absorb a lot more knowledge if I'm pure reading rather than listening at the same time.
Yeah, I've struggled with that before. Like, I love audiobooks, but at the same time, I also find that I don't take them in as much. I actually find audiobooks I have
Yeah,
to listen to twice before I'll actually take it in.
yeah,
Because the first time,
yeah,
more often than not,
same.
I'm so easily distracted by something and I'll have missed a few sentences.
Yeah,
I'm like, now I don't know what's happening.
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Glass half full or half empty?
Oh, wow. um, I would say it doesn't matter either way, right? If it's half empty, I'll find a way to make it full. And if it's full, then it's not going to stay full very long, is it? So
Okay, nice. So it just depends on the current
yeah,
situation. It's a way of gauging your.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Well, that was really, really enjoyable. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully, out there, that everyone that watches this has been enjoying. Uh, yeah, really, really good to get
Yeah.
to know you better and to talk
No,
through.
thank you. No, thank you for having me, Reese. Really enjoyed it, and really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of your show, and I really enjoy what you do. And I've watched quite a few episodes in the past, so really honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. We're going strong. We're on to 13, I think, is the next week. So we're fair motoring along. So it's wonderful. So yes, keep watching. Thank you very much, and to everyone out there, thank you for joining us. Good night.
Cheers.